All set?
Thank you.
Yep,
You're on.
all right. Good morning. Monday, December 10th, Shelton Borough Selectmen's meeting. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item of business is opening of bids for snowplow, and we have received no bids. So that's easy. Next, any public input? All right. Being none, we'll move on to review and approval of minutes. First is regular meeting minutes from Monday, December 3rd.
I'm all set.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is non-public at 8:30 on Monday, December 3rd.
I'm all set.
Probably one of these envelopes.
Yeah, in the back, I'm gonna let you can have mine if you want.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you want the other one too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all set.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And next is the second set of non-public at 8:50.
All set. Nice job, Karen.
Thank you.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have library update. Come on down, Christie, how are you?
I'm well, I hope you all are too. It's like turning the pages of a story now.
Okay.
Not much to report from November. It was a short month to begin with, maybe even shorter by Thanksgiving closings, and we also opened late 2 days because of snow. We did manage still to process 7 new library patrons, all adults, 2 non-residents, who said it was too noisy at Wolfboro right now, so they were going to come use our library for a while.
Yeah,
And
we
I said, well, you know, it's only going to be a while, remember, it's going to get noisy here too. Let's see, what else? I was just talking about the Polar Express, which we had on Friday night, the 20th annual. It's hard for me to believe that I have actually introduced that program 20 times, but it's true. We had a good crowd. It's a really happy event, and it's great to see all the kids and some of their parents coming in pajamas and having a great time at the library. Let's see, is there anything else to say here? Any questions about any of this?
A number of months ago, the state computer crashed that you get statistics from.
Oh, good point.
Has that been corrected?
Yes, it has, except if you look on the circulation statistics side down at the bottom, you'll see that for November, our numbers for Ancestry.com are way down compared to the rest of the year. So I will be checking in with the state library on that tomorrow. I didn't get both reports from Ancestry this time. I don't know why, and so I do have some questions about that. And Heritage Quest too. So I'll be checking on those. Thanks.
I know that was a service that you relied on, and
It is. It's heavily used, and I know Ancestry gets used because that's one that's only licensed for use in the library. The other one people can use either in the library or at home.
That Heritage?
Heritage Quest, yeah, is usable remotely, but for Ancestry, people have to come into the library, and I know that it gets used, and I think it probably got, more than 59 hits in November, but I will check that. Thanks for asking.
And your donations line has exploded.
Yes. Yeah, we made our $50,000 match in November. I think it was 78. We had 78 separate contributions from foundations and groups and individuals, and only 5 of them were additional gifts. So that was a whole lot of new support for the library in November.
Great.
That's it for me.
All right.
I'll sit back and let you guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Tim?
Come on up.
Welcome, my friend.
Hi. If you remember, back in when we were discussing the library budget, the question came up as to how we were doing as far as our capital campaign was going.
Yes.
And at the time, I told you that I was reasonably confident that we were going to meet our goal. Well, they say confession is good for the soul. I have to tell you this morning that at the time I was being somewhat less than forthright. And with that in mind, if you have a couple minutes, I'd like to tell you a story. Representing the library, this is what we do. In October, I got in a conversation with a citizen, wonderful lady, who asked me a couple questions about the capital campaign, how we were doing. And then she and her husband like to sit down and just have a talk about it. I got our materials to her. We had a little bit of when they're going to be around, when I was going to be around, but we finally sat down. And they asked some really good, pertinent questions, and I tried to give them some pertinent answers. And during the course of the conversation, I was hoping that this was going to be a good-sized contribution to the campaign. And it was, because they gave us 5. And as they say, wait for it. That 5 was $500,000.
Wow.
So, with that in mind, this is an update this morning of where we stand in our campaign.
Gordon, you know how to take people's breath away.
I sat there and I'm not normally at a loss for words for people, particularly in a small group, and I just couldn't believe it. I drove up to Meredith to watch my grandson play flag football, and that's all I could think about. What a game changer this is. And it's not just a game changer for the library, it's a game changer for the community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This gift, actually, it was not $500,000. It was a gift of depreciated stock. So when it hit our account of Fidelity, it was close to $525,000.
Yep.
So, as you can see now, the amount out of $1,997,000 projected project we have right now in cash and pledges $1,607,380, leaving somewhat, less than $390,000. So, I want to let you know about this in advance of when you start crafting warrant articles, because I think this might change the way you might think about how we would finance the rest.
Right.
And keep in mind that the capital campaign is ongoing, and we are hoping that the people will see this. We're that close. Let's get us over the top.
Do you remember offhand of the $1.9 million, how much of that was
Contingency, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm thinking furnishings.
Oh, I don't have it.
That's
I forget with me.
I'm wondering if we can, if there's an opportunity, let's say we're at $390,000 at the town meeting, whether or not we can break that in 2 and do one for the building and then subsequently furnish it. I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, when we get time to craft a warrant article, and we come and talk to you again, that's something that we can certainly discuss.
Because it'd be nice to do this all in one go.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
But what it does for the library, this $500,000 is what's the capital capacity, CIP figure, the year?
800,000. something like that, so, yeah.
8, 9.
Okay, so that one gift.
Yeah.
So as I say, it's a game changer, not just for our plans, but for the plans, other building plans we have for the town.
Yeah.
The one caveat that they gave me, that this gift will remain anonymous, okay? I know who it is. You never will. Nobody in the community ever will.
So not looking
I
for the
can
name
tell
over
you.
the door.
I can tell you, however, that these people were not even on our radar for the capital campaign. They, none of the people that one would think about would have the economic wherewithal to make that kind of contribution at all, including people that perhaps you might want to spend the night in one of their businesses. So that's where we are.
Great.
I can't tell you how excited I am. I haven't slept for days thinking about this. Christy was out when I kept on waiting for her to get better, so she had something to tell her.
And I've been dying to tell people ever since.
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't, but. So, that's where we are, gentlemen.
So as of today, we have a gap of less than $400,000 between what we need to do the addition and finish it and what we have on hand
Yeah.
and in pledges.
Now, you know,
We have, just so I'll do the math for you, in library controlled funds, which is not capital reserve funds or our pledges, $939,398. I'm going to give one of these unless I see that correct numbers. But, just astounding, for a town this size. So,
Yeah, and you still have
Tuesday night,
90 days to go.
Tuesday night, there'll be a combination budget meeting in CIP, and I'm sure you will be there.
Oh,
Chairman, right?
I will be there, and
Chairman.
I will have this information for the budget committee and for the CIP, because I feel a tad guilty that I couldn't let everybody know before you did, but I want to make sure that all the monies were in, get clear the fidelity.
It's not your first rodeo, sir.
Well, it is for this kind of money.
Yes.
So,
I know at the school district, you worked on big
well,
projects.
we did, but this was a lot more money, but a lot more available money than what we have, so.
And we don't have the stock anymore.
So, that's where we are, and you can continue on with your plans, and
Stock, it's all
Thank you.
sold.
as
so
you
we don't-
start
we're
thinking
not
about
of the stock.
I think last
plans for the
week,
police station, we'll wait for your first cookie sale on that one
Yeah.
too.
last week we had a discussion about the process going forward on the library. And somebody mentioned that we may not, just not have to do a bond or whatever. But I think we're still gonna do all the steps as a public information.
Well, of course you do.
Just so that,
Respect that.
because we still wanna sell it.
Mhm.
But I think, we're perilously close to only a simple majority, which would be
What a wonderful thought.
very nice.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
You have a lot on your plate this morning, so I'll let you go.
Great.
Go ahead.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
thing. Don't thank me.
Thank you.
Wonderful people.
Thank you.
Well, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, see ya.
Thank you. Christy? Christy? Thank you.
Yeah, we are, we're gonna have to
And
paint
then
in the rest
add-
of the
Can we
books
just take
and
a
the
break?
fireworks
Another one to
coming
run,
and
and
then
then
Yeah, that's right.
Have a double
I'm
fun.
so excited I could pee.
Need a lot of markers.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No, this is, wow.
That is great. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
All right.
I'll sell some hardware.
Oh, speak correctly.
All right. Let's, maybe we can grab.
Signatures.
Yeah, we can do
'Cause I gotta leave.
signatures. Yep,
I don't know if there's any other pressing matter that.
All right. The first item I have up here in the signature file is the permit application for the 19 Mile Bay beach improvements. And it came in late on Friday, and there was a little bit of back and forth after that about whether the permit application included everything that we need to include, such as additional sand behind the retaining wall. The answer is no, it isn't, and I think, Karen, you said that he needs to reword this application.
Yeah, David,
Correct?
the contact,
All
was
right,
gonna go
so-
through everything and make sure. He said if you can just hold off for
Yeah,
now.
so,
I move we table it.
okay,
I'll second, or we can vote on it, I
I
guess.
don't think we need to vote on tabling it, but,
No,
all right,
fine.
yeah, let's table it.
However you want to do it. sir.
Yep, all right, so I'm gonna suggest that right now, we put on the calendar for Friday the 28th, a work session. That's the Friday between Christmas and New Year's. Does that work for everybody? Are we in town?
I am.
And we'll need to address things like encumbering funds.
Yes.
And any end of the year stuff that we absolutely gotta do a signature kind of thing on this year, just to make sure that we're, as it relates to committing monies that we have appropriated. Will that work for you on the 28th?
Yeah, I'm great.
All right.
That's fine.
So if you can just put that on the
What
schedule.
time would you like?
9 o'clock.
Okay.
We can do it earlier. It's
Yeah,
what,
8:30 is better for me.
8:30.
8:30 on Friday?
8:30 on Friday the 28th,
And
right?
I'm not sure if you have to vote on tabling or not. I think.
All right, all those in favor of tabling it?
I don't know. I
Aye.
think so.
Opposed? All right, next up, we have the flexible benefit plan adoption agreement. This is for
Cost savings account.
our town employees, and it's a one signature item, so
This is the same as last year, right?
it is.
I
Yep.
move that the chair sign that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Can I guess what the headline's gonna be? What a Christmas present.
Yep. All right. Next, we have a land use change tax for 6528. It's taking 40 acres out of current use, if I read this correctly.
40?
Maybe
I think
The-
there's a total of 40 and
yeah, there's total 40, and it's taking,
a tenth of an acre or something.
yeah, right.
I'll move we sign that.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hi, Clay.
Morning.
Yeah. I got all the good news, I already did that.
Read the next to last one.
Next, we have a veterans tax credit, 14-2-42. I'm sorry, veterans exemption. This is for the 2019, effective the 2019 tax year. And Karen says that the applicant meets all the criteria and she recommends awarding the standard credit.
I'll move that we sign it.
I second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the forest fire report bill for 2018. Total expense, this is as permits are issued. Total expense of $700. just needs one signature. Or does it need three? I guess it needs three. So
Well, excuse me, I'll move we sign that.
I second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next up is a contract for aquatic herbicide application in 2019. And as the bids came in this year, they, because of delays in getting permits issued, they specifically asked that they have the contract in hand by January 1st. So this is a budgeted item in the 2019 budget, and I think it just requires one signature, but does need the approval of the board.
So I'll move that we have the chair sign that.
You want to second that out of all your work you do?
I'll second it.
I think it's only appropriate. You spend a lot of hours there, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Let's see. I think we're up.
Dan?
Sorry.
No. Name that tune.
All right, I think that's all we have in signature. Yes.
Excuse me, does that include that single page aquatic permit as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So, let me get that one, right? I think we got
Those,
everything in
yes.
signature for today, correct?
I think so.
Thank you. All right. Clay,
Sure.
come on down. You're the early bird.
There you go.
So,
Early bird on the horizon.
right, exactly.
Hi, Dad.
It was after bonus kicked up.
Thanks.
Really. Okay. Too old. For November, we had 9 solid waste compactors, 13 CD containers, and 2 plastic containers. We had 1 scrap metal pickup, $632 in revenue from that. 1 glass pickup, 15.98 tons. And cash revenues up through the end of November are approximately $87,188, which is much better than we have had before. So hopefully,
What I've noticed is that this year, over last year, you're up substantially. For example, solid waste 106 versus 95.
Right.
142 C and D versus 115
Right.
is what you predicted halfway through the year. And of course, plastic is even up.
Right.
So,
Now, you know, obviously the revenue from recyclables is down because of the market, but we've collected more. So, and next year I think will be even better because we have some material that we aren't going to ship out until next year, but until we get a full tractor trailer load, and it'll be significant. The basically general items, I'll limit it to one, and that was a power failure we had with that snowstorm. We lost one phase of power, and we still operated. Lesson learned: when you lose a phase of power, we shut down from now on.
The three-phase equipment
Three-phase
should be
equipment.
shut off when there's.
Absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely. While it appears like it operates okay and correctly, it doesn't. And it operates at a slightly slower speed and much heavier power, and we ended up burning up a motor. So we weren't able to, as far as knowing exactly what occurred, that power failure was, we had started on Tuesday morning when we came in. We didn't get the phase of power back until Thursday night. I went out and checked the machines out. They all appeared to be operating fine. We switched over to compactor 2 for Saturday and Sunday. So when we came, we didn't realize that compactor 1 was damaged until we started operating it on the next Tuesday morning, and then realized it was damaged, and that's when we called Atlantic Recycling and got them up there. And again, kudos to them. They've been very, very responsive and very helpful and got us up to speed.
Can I make a comment?
Yes,
On Thursday, you were there, right?
yes.
How many hours?
Off and on most of the day.
Your day off.
Yeah, I took some comp time.
Right. I sat there, Mr. Chairman, and listened to him talk to the dispatcher. And what happens is, when there's a situation like this, there's another office that answers. This guy had the poll number, our account number. The poor dispatcher was polite with him, but she did not have a clue. And this guy just showed patience and worked through it. The chief tried to assist with his contacts. We're lucky to have these guys.
I think one of the things that happens with the smart meters that we have today,
Right.
and the capabilities to remotely monitor an awful lot of power outages and problems, they can see right on their computer screens.
Right.
So, but sometimes maybe this single phase situation may not come up where they can see it, and so it's.
They were overloaded. They were overloaded and inundated with 50,000 accounts out, and they were sending people to the most distressed area right away. So what, in their defense, if you have the account number and you have the meter number and you talk to somebody on the phone, they should be able to pull your account up right away. The problem is the person that's talking on the phone is not a regular person. It's almost like a overnight answering service.
They're actually in a separate office.
Right, and they don't have, their access on their machine does not do the same search parameters and the same stuff that the normal everyday person that works there does. And I found that out after 2 or 3 days. Once I got to a person that actually worked there full time and that's what their job was, it was bing bang. so they knew it right away. But it was frustrating because not that, you know, everyone thinks that they're the most important thing in the world. Not that we're the most important thing in the world, but we have, you know, 3,000 people wanting to dump their garbage.
You gotta squeak for your requirement.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it was frustrating because I couldn't seem to get that across. Was, you know, and I was almost to the point of saying, well, okay, I'll put it this way. What address would you like me to refer the 3,000 residents we have to dump their garbage at?
Boy, that was tough.
But I never got to that stage. So they were actually very helpful and understanding, but it was there was a lot of people affected.
Now, as a result of this outage, you're aware of some other things that we need to do at the transfer station.
Right.
To
I got two things.
Okay.
One is we have to get hand cranks for the two large doors that we have in the main building. Safety issue, just be able to get those doors up in case there is something inside that's wrong, and we want to at least get the vehicles out without damaging the doors. So I'm gonna look into that with overhead doors. They do all our service, and I'll get that taken care of fairly quickly. The second is a generator situation, and that's with Scott. Trying to get a generator for, you know, that Scott's gonna have to come in here and talk to
It's a unique environment.
you guys, because that's a very, very, very expensive process to get three-phase power generated. Not worth it for the inconvenience that we may have of 1 or 2 days of being shut down.
Well, the whole place is in 3 phases, it's just the.
Right, but the way it's wired and the way it's set up, there's all kinds of mismatched wiring on 110 and the 223 phase.
So what I'm hearing you say is we want to put in a standby generator that will handle the lights and the
Certain things,
heat and all
certain
that kind
things.
of thing. Probably will require some
Additional
rewiring
wiring.
It'll require a
within the
trench
building.
across the parking lot.
I'm sorry?
It's gonna require a
That-
trench across the parking lot to
that-
put a pipe in.
That if you, because there's two facilities that you have to do. One is a compactor area and fuel pump up on the top. The other is the recycling station. Or you could put a portable generator, let's say, in, and at least get power to get the doors open or closed, then undo it, take the, you know, without digging a trench. You could then take that capability, wheel it up to the upper compactors, have a plug in there, fire it back up, plug it up, close the doors, open the doors there. So it's how much do you want to spend for the convenience of?
Well, if there's anyone who's gonna get the info for us, it's
Right.
you and Jack.
Yeah. It's an awful lot of money. Again, to me, the priorities are the radiant heat in the floor. Okay, so you gotta keep that going, and there's gotta be something that is an automatic capability to do that, because we leave on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, you know, and if it's -5 degrees, and it's gonna sit, and the power goes out at 6 o'clock, we better have that.
And you also said that you learned that the oil is heated in the pistons of the compactors.
Oh, yeah, well, that's just a manual operation for us. Where do you leave the piston on the compactors overnight when it's, you know, especially when it's really, really cold out? And I found out it's like a block heater on cars. It's always plugged in, and the oil reservoir is always heated. And so you want to push the compactor in then back it out just a little bit, and then stop it right there and leave it there. That keeps all the oil in the reservoir and heated. So when you crank it back up, you're starting up with heated oil. So we learned that from the servicing.
So compactor one's all set,
Everything's back up and running. The total bill is $3,200.
and
Can that
there
be,
was some talk about replacing a compactor,
That was compactor number one.
and so that's gonna get put off for a little while.
I already pushed it back from next year to the year after that.
And as
so-
far as the burned out circuit,
Everything's good.
that's all been replaced.
Everything's been replaced.
Okay.
All up and running. It was up and running on Wednesday morning.
And it's not something that was undersized or whatever?
No.
It's just that,
Yeah, it was a storm and the power outage, and over years of use. And I'm gonna have them check number two. I haven't put a new wiper blade on when you pull the box back, because there's now a lot of loose paper in there and everything, and it'll slip on the top underneath and then come down to the back. I had to have the guys went in and got on their hands and knees and under and in the back where the motor is, and they had to clean out that whole area.
who was the fellow that I met from?
That was Darryl from the Max.
Boy, what a gentleman.
Nice guy.
He was there.
They've been great to us. I mean, I pick up the phone and they divert people, right? And there's somebody here.
From Berwick, right? Didn't he come
Yeah.
from Berwick?
Berwick,
Yep.
yeah.
In the snow.
But,
That could be an insurance claim.
That was the next
Well,
question I had.
We should submit it to Primex. See where it goes.
Happens all the time.
Huh?
Happens all the time. People submit all the time.
Right.
It's usually covered.
who does that, me?
Uh,
Is that Diane?
Diane does, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Okay.
need a bill.
I've
Just need a bill to
emailed
submit.
her.
Yeah.
I've emailed her all the information,
Yep.
and I know she made a call to them.
Mhm.
I have not heard any answer back.
And where does the current check for 3206?
That's already it's gonna be paid.
Is it covered by your budget because you're?
I have, I'm gonna use the equipment maintenance line. That puts me $700 over on the equipment maintenance line, paying that bill. I still have, $1,300 in the vehicle and fuel maintenance line, so that will offset
You
that.
also have some in the brush line.
Yeah, but that's being used,
Okay.
that's already being used for the.
I want to make
CD.
sure that,
Yeah, the CD over, and we're still gonna be over budget, but just because of the CD.
and how's that CD, the change?
That's working good. That's working very well. We still may be down a little bit, but it's nothing like we were before. And the flow is, because it's in December.
But it should solve, going out through 19, we should have the same problem.
Right, we'll look at it again after I get the bill from December, which will be in the first 2 weeks of January. And we might have to tweak that number a little bit. But I can't really do that until we get the bill.
Right.
But, we'll be over a significant amount, but that's the same thing that happened last year.
Yep. Now, you also are aware that you got water leakage coming through your
Yes.
electrical system, so you need to get somebody.
Scott was gonna come out, he got the version.
Whoever it is, we're aware of it, we need to get that taken care of, because that's, water and electricity don't mix
Right,
well.
right,
They mix, but not in a way that we like it.
right. That's that's the receptacle.
Right, but where's the water coming from though? The receptacle's not leaking. Guaranteed.
What?
Where's the water coming from?
The what's not leaking?
Where's the water coming from? The receptacle's not leaking.
I've had that checked numerous times, and the answer is, or the combined answer for everything is that somehow it's getting through the roof bedding.
Is it the big building or?
It's the main building when there's snow
Mhm.
on the roof. It's not when it's just raining. but when there's snow on the roof,
It blows in.
Blows up in the ridge.
it must come in from the, and I've had three different people up there to try to find out where the leak is coming from, and they can't find it. They can't find it. But where it's coming out is where you plug the garage door openers in for the two big doors in the main building. And it comes down around that circuit, and I talked to Scott, and Scott said, well, he said, well, if that's the case, we probably aren't gonna be able to find where it's coming from. But he says, I will at least either move or protect that circuit from the water getting down in there, put a new circuit, put a new plug in. It's like one of those double plugs. And somehow prevent it from the water from getting too bad.
But we still have to address the leak at some point,
Yeah.
because it's gotta be getting the
Yeah, you need some baffles
insulation.
behind the ridge vent, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a product that goes underneath the ridge,
I think they already did that.
but not that.
Yeah,
I don't think snow could blow through there.
I don't know.
Work in progress.
All right. Any other questions for Clay? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Again, thank you to both you gentlemen for your effort.
All right. Anna. Come on down.
Good morning, sir.
How are you? Good. Well.
Not a huge amount to report to you since I was just here a week ago. The department once again dealt with several calls due to heavy snowstorms that passed through the town. All calls were handled without incident. We've currently had 187 fire calls, 250 EMS calls, and 28 service calls, 22 special details, for a total of 487. Furnace inspections, 21, oil burner inspections, 10, 6 wood pellet stove inspections, and 24 life safety, for a total of 61. Department has switched over the tracks for the winter season for the ATV, and the wheels have been removed from the rescue sled, making it into a sled. The tank and pump used on the ATV for brush fires also has been removed and stored away. Boat 1 is now out of service for the season. It's at Melbourne Marina for the yearly maintenance and storage. The airboat will handle all lake calls from now on. For a prime example of all ambulances in our area being tied up quickly, on 12/5/2018, the Hillsborough Fire Rescue Department had 4 back-to-back medical calls. These calls came in within 45 minutes of each other to an hour. Our ambulance responded to their 3rd call and transported a patient in their town to Huggins Hospital. During that time period, a 4th call came in, which took the line ambulance from Stewart's ambulance that had just arrived at our fire station that was doing line coverage. And what I mean by line coverage, they would respond to either our town, Wolfboro, or Moultonboro from our area. Shortly after they arrived, they went to the 4th call in Wolfboro. And shortly after that, at 8:50, our department was toned out for a medical call, which ended up being determined a lift assist only, and it was handled by our personnel and rescue on. If we had needed another ambulance, the ambulance would have been coming out of either Meredith or Moultonboro if they had the 2nd rig there still. I will be attending a practical part of the Red Cross sheltering training, which will be put on by American Red Cross in conjunction with the town of Wolfboro. in the C3PH at the Huggins Kingswood Art Center, Friday, December 28th, from 9 to 3 p.m. The training is a comprehensive rundown on the layout, setup, and teardown of a scale sheltering plan that facilitates either from 5 to 100 people in a modular sheltering environment that could be set up in any shelter such as ours if we need to put one in place. I had already attended the actual, I want to say, non-practical part of this a couple months ago, and this is just a continuation of that particular stuff. On the back of this is a rundown of our activity so far, as far as ambulance payouts. We had a total gross of $37,240.50. Contractual allowance is $17,124.90, which would be a net charges of $20,115.60. Revenue adjustments is $1,406.76, which
And that's primarily travelers insurance. What's that all about?
that is, it looks like that is travelers insurance as far as some
Yeah.
type of contractual agreement type of thing.
You had one call for $2,100 and they deducted $1,408. So net charge of
$691.29 as far as payment wise. We have
Who is
one that is outstanding.
I'm sorry.
We have one that is outstanding that we are looking into further. Supposedly the person was paid directly. He's saying that he never received the check directly. So that in that particular case, $2,135 is still due for that particular person. So that's a pretty good size
So is
balance.
it travelers contention that we should be billing their customer the additional $1,400? Because nobody else has got a deduction like that. I mean, you've got no, you don't have any revenue adjustments on the other insurance companies. So
Right.
I think I'd call.
That's something that I'll check into further.
Call
for that.
travelers and figure out what the deal is on that.
So currently, what has come into the town is $9,438.88 for that. And a balance due would be showing $8,766.64.
If you look down toward the bottom, all right, it's a similar thing, just a different column under Medicare.
Yeah.
Out of 22,000, their contract allows 6,400 out of that. So it falls into a different column, but it's the same
Right,
effect.
same type of, and it would be easier if you were looking at what I'm looking at with names
Yeah,
associated with,
Yeah.
with that, but because of HIPAA, obviously I
Right.
can't put that,
right.
But
put
you,
that out.
I mean, there are also write-offs and revenue adjustments. So if you, in that same Medicare,
Right.
Mhm.
there's a $503 write-off.
Right.
Yep.
And that particular write-off was because that our billing service was not in place.
Okay.
So it was too late to charge
Okay, so-
for that particular. So the $503.32 write-off was because it was too late to bill that particular person.
So we'll end this December 31st.
Yes,
And then start a new accounting for January 1st.
yes, that is correct. Current one,
And
this is for 22 transports. Currently.
right, and my numbers aren't matching yours, but I'm sure there's some reason. I mean, I'm showing 18,204. If you add 9438 and 8766, you're not coming up with 20,000.
This is right off of their site. as far as the billing company. This is not something that I have done figures for as far as that goes. It's all computer generated.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
When you go down through and you go line for line for this section that I have, it comes out 100% as far as the numbers.
and refresh my memory, when did we start billing?
We started billing as far as would have been 11/15 of 2017 was the first actual money that we got in. The 2/24 of 17 was the one that was too late to bill. But as far as, so it would have been somewhere just before 11/15 of 2017.
So this is about a year's worth of revenue?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
All right.
That was my question. You know, when we start to do estimated revenues,
Mhm.
we'll ask you for what you think.
Right. But- And that's a tough thing as far as, how do you estimate it?
Well,
Because you don't know if you're gonna do any transports,
Right,
as far as that goes.
but, I mean.
I have no problem being conservative.
Right, right, exactly.
Kind of what we do.
And, you know, we've transported far more than I thought
Yeah,
that we were going to. The one thing that we may want to look at as far as what other towns have in place is called either an enterprise fund or revolving fund that those funds go into that are made by the ambulance, and they support either major purchases for the ambulance, such as, you know, the cardiac monitor that costs between $32,000 to $40,000, or a new ambulance somewhere down the road, or large purchases for, you know, the
and
ambulance
that's,
or equipment.
yeah, and that's one way to approach it. What we, I think, have done, obviously, is put it in the general.
Yeah, it's in the general
And
fund.
and it offsets the cost of the ambulance contract that we have. But you're right, I mean,
Sure, it's a
we should probably have a
possibility.
discussion.
The other thing that it does in towns that they do all the transports and things like that, it pays for their personnel and stuff that operate the ambulance.
Right.
Many different ways of looking at things and dealing with things. And I'm gonna get further information tonight at my mutual aid meeting, that one of the departments, Milton, that has this all set up. They have 2 ambulances that, you know, they do all their transports and stuff like that. But we're not
Yeah,
there or anywhere near.
Well, it'd be interesting,
looking-
Milton isn't that much different than Tuftonboro, really.
Right.
Population-wise, it's a little closer to Frisbee than
Other
we
than
are.
they have Route 16.
But I wonder if we could get it, how long have they been doing it?
They have been
Forever.
for a long
So
time.
if we
Yeah,
could get a copy.
when I had my
of the
shop over
budget.
there 15 years ago, they were doing their own transport, so,
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
they-
we get a copy of an annual budget, then at least we know what we're looking at.
Right.
So we can talk with them. Yep. Information as opposed to speculation.
Correct.
Yes, Alyssa?
I just wanted for clarification, I don't have that sheet, but this is what I'm getting in summary. 22 transports are accounting for basically 9,400 income already from billing and 8,700 still
That is still out.
to be due, right?
Yeah.
That's just a
Yes.
snapshot? Okay.
$9,438.88, and yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And that's pretty much equally divided by, or distributed by, to the insurance companies and
Yeah.
Medicare.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously Medicare, just, you know, they're
Well,
very low as far as the return payment.
Yep.
and things. It was to be expected. But it's more than what we had coming in before. Obviously, we never had money coming back in, so. And as you said, it goes towards offsetting any other fund.
budget.
We've got the ambulance budget here. Yeah. 4215.
Last year it was $188,036. There was a 2.5% increase. New Hampshire CPI for a one-year contract would be $192,479.19. And that would be a one-year contract with Stewart's. It could be looked at any point in time during that year, as we had discussed. If the select board or anyone decided to go with the consortium or any other changes that you may want to look at to the year, they were agreeable to look at or make those changes as well as that.
Yep. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion that we approve budget 4215 in the amount of $192,480 for the ambulance contract.
All right, any discussion?
I have a question. Refresh my memory, Chief. In 2013, it was 190,000. Was that the year that one firm left halfway through the year?
That's correct.
Right here?
Yep.
So we're basically just a couple $1,000s over what it was in 2013.
Correct.
It seems to be going up about $3,000 a year.
Yep.
Yep.
Or 5,000, somewhere.
Yep. Okay, we're ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, anything else for Chief? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a quiet day.
In budget committee for the ambulance tomorrow night?
Tomorrow
Still?
night.
Yeah, please, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're gonna have to scoot along here pretty soon.
Yep.
Is there something important we need done for me?
Um,
Signed everything.
I think we've signed everything. We've got some other budgets to go through. I don't know that there's,
I think the only one that, but you're as aware as I am of everything, so, I mean, the only one that I consider might change is the legal budget.
yeah,
But I've reviewed other highways and streets, animal control, direct assistance, patriotic purposes and gifts. And I'd be prepared if I had to vote yes on those.
okay.
But whatever you feel is good is fine with me. And then I'll be at the budget meeting tomorrow.
Yep.
So at that point in time, I'll vote on those budgets as well,
Yep.
regardless of how
All right.
budget committee.
All right, did you have a question on the legal budget?
No, I want to make sure that we have enough in the general line on the top to cover whatever we feel is needed for whatever happens with Wolfboro,
Yeah.
basically.
There also was a question of cemetery legal.
Right, and I think Sue Weeks is coming in.
She'll be here Wednesday.
Right, so that's going to change.
Be self-resolving.
Yep. All right.
If anything, and I apologize for having this set up, but it's a
No.
long time we're going to meet.
I'm glad we could
And
get
I'm
through.
gonna go to the Hurlburt Trust meeting in Wolfboro to,
Well, you already brought your good luck with the $500,000.
I had nothing to do with that, so. But I guess it's.
Well, put a smile on your face, didn't it?
Authorized distribution of whatever funds they're gonna distribute this year,
Yep,
so.
good, all right.
Travel safe.
Thank you, Chip.
See you tomorrow.
Yep. Jack, come on down.
And Karen, I'm gonna leave
Thank you for
this in
waiting.
your desk.
So we have 122 building permits to date, 18 new homes, done about 468 inspections. As you notice, the walkway lights are done and the light on that door next to my office. The ice heaters are all in. And I took the ladder down for Wharf Road this year because it's a new ladder. Last year it was aluminum. I didn't want to leave it there through the winter in case you get water in it and it froze. So that's downstairs. And like I told Clay, tomorrow I'm going to the transfer station as well as the highway garage to look at generator stuff. So I was Scott.
Okay.
thank Scott for what he's done. It looks
Yeah.
nice out here.
Yeah.
And
We left out the ground didn't freeze, so we got the wire in, so.
Yeah.
any idea what the estimated increase in tax revenue would be through all the building this
I
year?
have no idea.
Just
I don't know what they assess it for. I brought in about $41,000 in permit fees this year.
Yeah, and you can't base assessed valuation on construction costs.
Correct, because I have a formulation I do for construction costs, and obviously a lot of times the building's worth a lot more than that, but.
And many times it's worth less than that,
Correct.
you know?
Yes.
Somebody,
Not usually, but, well, yeah, it actually is, for what
Sure.
they build it for, some
Yeah.
places, yes.
Yeah. You,
There's some good sized ones this year. so.
yeah. Yeah, so that should help us out. Okay,
Okay,
I think so.
alrighty.
Short and sweet. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
As always. Okay. All right, so we have some other budgets to get to. I don't see Andy yet.
I can walk over.
Huh?
Would you like me to just walk over?
What time was he planning to come?
It was supposed to be 9:20.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to do other stuff until he gets here.
Okay.
So we took care of ambulance. Let's leave legal and cemetery until, all right.
What's the next one?
So the next one we've got here, actually, Jack, you could probably help us with this. 4313, other highway and streets, docks, bridges. We didn't, we don't have anything in here yet for,
Right, and I haven't got the information back from Horizon Engineering. He's supposed to do it this week, so I should have an estimate for that, for the permits.
That's,
Yeah.
For Wharf Road and the bulkhead at Lake Road. Did you
Yes.
look at that as well? Yeah.
right? And, but again, that, we
But
have
for the
money.
docks and bridges, I have nothing, because I have, all the ice heaters are new and all the timers are new, so.
the only project I have is, there are 4 boards that need to be replaced on County Road. It needs to be stained, and it also has never had the signs put up. But
That's
I'm thinking that that's for next year, you know, for 2021. I purposely didn't bring it up because we
Yeah.
were over CIP.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, well, I don't, so we're gonna have to defer action on this till we get some additional, and I'll be happy to do some research on
Lake
this.
Road and Union Wharf, right?
Yes.
And we have money this year in the budget for those permits.
Right, that's why I'm just
So
trying
that's
to
what-
get the money for the permits, so we get
So
the
that's-
contract through
And
them.
that's what we got in 2018,
Yep.
and we'll either expend that or,
At least have a contract and
yeah,
cover it. yeah.
encumber, we can encumber it. But in terms of docks and bridges projects for next year, I think we,
Yeah.
let me do a little poking around on that.
Yeah.
It's a little line, but you know, there's stuff
Yeah,
that,
just, you know, a board gets broken
Yep.
or
Yes.
something like that.
Thank you again.
And
Yep.
the thing you might want to look into, it's not really in that, the power that goes to Wharf Road, Doc, comes from the neighbor's house.
yes, it
It's a
does.
separate meter, and the meter has its own disconnect and all that. When it trips, I have to uncover the whole meter because it's all encased in a wood box. There used to be a pole down there with a meter on. They took it off and they put it in the neighbor's house. I would just like to see if we can do something about the panel, so I don't have to keep undoing it when it trips, because obviously it's GFI, because it's a water circuit, so
Mhm.
rather than have to unscrew it all the time,
Yep.
get into it.
So is that something that,
It's to do with
we're
docks
working-
and bridges, so.
yeah, but is it something that we're working with the co-op on or an electrician?
No, it would be the homeowner.
Okay.
The owner of that house, just to see if I could do something different.
Is
with
that
it.
John Sims' old house?
No, this is at Melvin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the house on the right of way.
Yeah.
So just with them to see if we could do something different with that thing is, maybe get a new panel there so we can access.
Any
some of
ideas
that.
how much something like that costs? We aren't talking hundreds of dollars, are we?
Yeah, probably a couple $100, something like that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Next budget is 4414, animal shelter. So we had 1750 in the 2018 budget. And we've expended about 1,300 and some out of that, so I don't know for,
This under, police chief handles this, but I have no problem with leaving it at 1750.
all right, well.
So moved.
Yep. And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. Karen, is it gonna cause budget committee an issue if we don't send them docks and bridges now?
No, not for tomorrow's meeting. I
Okay.
just need ambulance and cemetery and legal for tomorrow.
Yep, all right.
Thank you.
So, hi Sue,
Hi.
come on down.
Made it.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
Welcome to Monday.
Yeah, seriously.
You want to put a smile on your face where you used to do trustees of trust funds? A substantial, what, $500,000 donation? Anonymous grant to the library.
Okay.
Does that put a smile on your face too?
I thought it was gonna be for the trustees for the cemetery. Jeez,
But you got the 50,000 from last year.
Yep,
it's going fast.
Yes.
all right. Where did that one go?
Is this the same copy you have?
No. Yes, no.
Okay. So you,
Is yours the one
you're,
there?
you're back,
Oh,
to-
you got a newer one.
you're back to revisit your budget with us.
Do you want me to make you a copy? This
I
doesn't
need-
reflect
I
the
guess I need a
changes.
new one.
Okay, so
The bottom line stays the same. What happened is, after the meeting last week, the proposal came in for the gates, and they were higher than we imagined. So, we need to use money from 2018 and 2019, which,
Well, we made a down payment already. I remember signing a check.
that's from the 2018.
Right, so that's, you got the process started.
Yes,
Yes, right.
so we've got it underway.
And we need to encumber at some point at the end of your budget if there's any funds to put toward it.
Well, I don't think there will be,
Okay.
because the 5,000, that brings it to 20,000 for this year already. And then we had a budget of 21,300. And we got a bill from Mark Eldridge. There's a couple of small bills also, so this year's budget is pretty much used.
Okay.
So next year, we reshuffled these to put 4,000 on Old Cemeteries restoration.
So what you,
100 on office supplies and 850 there. $1,400 on improvements. This still isn't,
not what you want?
It looks like maybe she entered this, your request and the selectmen's request, is that what it looks like?
I don't know.
Are these the numbers you mentioned that you wanted here? Is there another selectmen's request on, or is this the number you wanted, these are the numbers you want?
That's what's happening. We got two, I was looking at this
Okay.
selectmen's. So
Okay, and
this
these
is
are
the
ones you
number.
want?
Yes,
These are the ones you want, and you want them to change it to reflect, okay,
yes.
so these are right, okay, so department head requested
Okay,
So instead of Old Cemeteries Restoration having 4,000, it only has 1,000.
for the new request, okay,
And
got it.
the 3,000 goes into cemetery,
improvements.
the other way around. Yeah.
No, you're right.
improvements.
Yeah, the
it's so
3,500.
confusing.
There's another 500 somewhere.
So those two get flopped, basically,
Okay.
the restoration and the improvements. Just to try to get the actual expenses in line with the name of the line item.
So, and then 500 from this one, okay,
Yeah,
got it, thank you.
Right.
So,
Well,
Because this isn't
as always,
restoration,
we
this is-
ought to charge the expense where it falls.
right.
And if it's budgeted to a different line in there, it's no big deal, but at this point, you wanna make the line as accurate as you can going into
Correct.
the year.
That's
So,
that's
okay.
exactly what's happening.
All right,
So, yeah, so
so
the bottom line doesn't change.
the bottom line is 23,450, correct?
Yes.
same as it was.
You're happy with that?
Yeah, I wish it was more, but, you know,
I'll move that for account 4195, we accept their recommendation of 23,450.
right. And the check you signed for Steve, he was actually the low bidder on, well, they weren't technically bids, proposal. He had the
Yeah.
low proposal.
Well, you shopped
There
around.
was way more labor expense than we expected.
Yes.
Guy mentioned the other night that once the gates are in, that access to the composting area through that drive on the end of the cemetery, you don't want that to happen anymore.
Well, it can happen if it's in a designated area where there are no plots laid out. That whole field is laid out with corner markers for plots. And
So.
driving over them is not a good idea.
Right, but when you stand out there at the access point, if I go out there and stand out there, not today because there's snow, but when there isn't snow, can I tell where the driving area, where the lane is and where the plots are?
Well, we used to have the blue reflectors, most of those are gone now.
Yeah,
But yes, we can put markers out there that you can see it. And it basically would go straight down and then take a 90-degree turn at the end of the stone wall.
so, yeah. We don't want people driving across burial plots. Makes perfect sense. A little different interpretation than I got from Mr. Pike.
Whatever we can
Not
do.
surprisingly.
Whatever we can do to accommodate your
Yeah.
operation.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure it's not there was nothing malicious going on or anything like that. It just needs to be in the right location.
Work in progress.
I understand. All right, super. So we've moved, and did we second
No,
the change?
not
I'll
yet.
second that. And the amount remains the same. What we're doing is we're adjusting our line items to match the revised submission.
Mhm.
Do you want me to spell those out?
Oh, no, I'm fine, thanks, I have,
Okay.
well, unless you.
I mean, as much detail as we need in the motion, I'm prepared, I'm happy to provide, but, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
There was a question, Mr. Chairman.
Huh?
There was a question.
Yeah.
Listen,
I just wanted to clarify this geography. So when you get the 3 gates up, there will be access, but not ready access. I mean, there is a way, there's a designated area for compost.
I don't know where that designated area is, it's somewhere in the garden area. And there are designated areas for cemetery plots. There's also a designated roadway in the cemetery.
Okay.
And there's a point where the plots end and there's nothing laid out. At that point, the road could, someone could drive around those plots to get to the compost area.
So if some authorized person needed to do
What
it.
we
Yes.
want to do is we want to avoid having vehicular traffic across cemetery plots, and that makes total sense.
Right.
Absolutely. So, part of that is,
Tape of guy explaining it? I'd be interested. Did you have a taped meeting of guy explaining
no,
it?
this was at Budget Committee the other night, but you know how Guy is.
Yeah.
So,
He doesn't want
and when I asked him if the cemetery trustees had let the Ag Commission know that there was a concern, he said, well, I tried to go to a meeting and the last one was canceled, and the one before that, I got there too late. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but
So,
thank you for the explanation. That makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
All right,
it's not a
now,
non-issue.
Don't we?
yeah, we had legal budget for cemetery was another,
We put $1,000 on that. We'd like to think it would be zero, but
well,
things seem to come up.
yeah. Yes, for sure they do. And, you know, I think it's important that we make adequate provision. If we don't use it.
Well, we need to
use-
do things right.
Yep. And, you know, we're all volunteer members of these committees and commissions, and the way we do business is laid out in statute and/or in regulation. And lots of times, there's court decisions that, of course, modify the RSAs. And I suppose as a volunteer member of one of these boards, you can go research all this stuff, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of murky stuff out there, and having an opinion from counsel that has experience in this area it is absolutely is a good way for us to a good foundation for moving forward in whatever direction we're moving on anything. So
Right.
it's just
Perfect example is the French cemetery. How you ever would have got that done without your lawyer, I don't know.
Right,
yeah.
right. So the person at the Department of Justice who was kind of the contact person for cemeteries retired last
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
And they didn't have training for us.
They did, well, municipal associations picked that up. She's working for them now.
Well, the training session was canceled. There was none set up for May when it normally
Right.
is.
But
And
they
then
did
they
have some at
announced
the
they have
conference.
some later, and they were going to do a big thing at some conference.
At the annual conference last
But they
month.
didn't. Instead, they said, okay, well, it's gonna be a Skype presentation, so that's great, I can sit at my computer and participate. That was canceled, so there's nothing, no training whatsoever for 2018 for cemetery trustees. So, it's another reason why you need an attorney.
Sure, absolutely.
You
All
answered
right.
my question.
Yep. Thank you,
Okay,
Sue.
thank you.
Hey, did you get those
I did, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I
They're
see they
just-
date back to 2009.
Oh, maybe before that, you know, they're just sitting down the cellar and I'd rather have them used.
Merry
Will be.
Christmas to you and your
Thank
family.
you.
Good.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. So
Are you,
what else do we need to deal with on the legal?
Yeah.
The first line?
Well, Chip mentioned the first line for Wolfboro,
Mhm.
and then the other change that we had was trustees of the trust funds. The budget committee questioned that amount of the increase from 600 to 1,000 since they didn't have any expenditures for 2018. So after speaking with the trustees of the trust fund, they agreed that reduce it back down to 600.
Okay.
So your selectman request would be 49.5.
Okay.
Now, because you added the 1,000 for ZBA, that's why yours
Yes.
differs.
Yeah, we did put that 1,000 back in there.
And then
All right.
whatever you want to change for the first one.
So,
If you
I mean,
I have no problem with 49.5 if you.
all right, well, there was a question about the first line. Do we want to throw some extra money in there just in case? So,
What are your thoughts?
I'm fine with putting extra money in there.
How much?
We're not gonna use it if we don't, 10%, 44,000, is that too much?
I have no problem with it.
All right, so let's make that first line 44. Again, looking at potential uncertainty there, so that's gonna take us to 53.5, is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm prepared to move that, Mr. Chairman.
All right,
For the record, legal expenses 4153, bottom line of 53,500.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, so next one we have is direct assistance. And,
I have no problem with what's
yeah, no, I think that was,
observation. I was reviewing the procurement policy,
yeah,
and one of the lines is it allows us to negotiate or budget with nonprofits.
mhm,
Remember that has come up over the years, that people
Yep.
have intellectual issues
Mhm.
with it.
yeah,
So if you're all set, Mr. Chairman, direct assistance 4442 in the amount of 21,750.
and I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we got patriotic purposes.
4583, I move the amount of 1,500.
And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And the last one we have here is 4589, gifts and donations.
I'll move in the amount of 500.
All right, I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Still no Andy, huh? Let's see, we got signature.
We did legal.
Yeah.
Highways.
All right.
Highways was basically tabled, right, or continued.
Which was?
Highways.
Other highways, yeah. Yep.
I'm all set.
All right. And, let's see. Yeah, I guess. Maybe you forgot.
Joe's over there. I don't think anybody's there though.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Joe's over there, but I don't think anybody's.
Yeah, all right. Selectmen's update. Sir?
The first thing I want to bring up is this check here.
Okay.
I have some comments I'll read into the record.
Yep.
It's check number 02050839, dated for today. It was the part of the bills we signed last Friday.
Right.
And it's an amount for $765.43. And it's charged to general expenses in the highway department. Now, as of today, there's only $11,022 left in his account, and, you know, we're all working as hard as possible not to go over budget. I guess this is the result of a snowplow touching or hitting a car.
It's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, on previous multiple incidents involving damage and accidents and insurance and payments, this board has asked for a review before any payments are made, for, you know, non-adversarial reasons. I want to balance the responsibilities of if some property is damaged or whatnot, but I'm concerned about maybe we need to reassign this check to either emergency expenditures or the insurance column, or whatever. Once it's spent, even if we, you know, he's out the $700, and $700 is a lot of sand and salt. You know, it's a lot of hours at $82. You know, for example, in the last 28 days, our road agent has had to spend $56,147. We've just had a tough winter. That's where I'm coming from, Mr. Chairman. I just like a little more information. What vehicles were involved? Who was the employer? Was it a town employer or a private contractor? Just some of this basic information. And I'm trying to be vigilant and constructive. Thank you.
Yep. Well, and the road agent and I did have a conversation about it. It was, my recollection is it was a town truck making a turn at the end of the road to head back up the other way, that apparently clipped a mirror on a car that was parked alongside the road adjacent to the intersection. The individual made a report to the police, written report to the police department on the incident, and that's what brought this whole thing forth.
And when did this happen?
I'm not aware of the exact date.
It happened sometime in November, right?
I don't recall.
Okay. So he's spoken to you since our last meeting?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, he probably forgot at the meeting. He had a lot on his mind, in fairness.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me that we don't want to impact the citizen?
Right.
On the other hand, I think it should be something other than the highway budget. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure where we would put it outside the highway department.
Emergency, there's 5,000 in that account.
Yeah, that's the contingency account.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's a possibility, although we'd have to research that a little bit more to see if that's something that, that line is
Appropriate.
usable for.
Also insurance, for example, the deductible, $1,000 deductible we take out of it. And it's not $1,000, it's not deductible. You know, I'm just wondering, and you know my motives are honorable here. I want to, number one, make sure the citizen isn't impacted.
Right.
It is Christmas time, and, you know, I am not a Grinch. On the other hand, I really want our road agent, who has extended himself, to have as much money as he can in his budget. So that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Okay.
Next item,
Yeah.
you want to talk about regional select boards, what was talked about? Or you want me to do it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
On December 4th, all 3 selectmen met with the regional select board group meeting. It met here in this room. There was an update on electricity, oil, and propane regional purchase efforts, and they have been successful and are being continued. There was an update on regional transportation RFPs. Other towns are interested in coordinating purchasing buses and those types of things. We found out, I got educated, there's only 2 major players in the bus industry. A lot of talk on regional solid waste efforts, and Clay's involved in those. Regional cell phone coverage. Did you get a copy of the map?
I did. Yep.
There's a copy for people who want to talk or review that. The contact is Zach Williams at Senator Shaheen's office, and we had a follow-up Wednesday TAC meeting, and we have that documentation. Other regional purchase opportunities we talked about is document shredding at our transfer stations, road striping, and invasive species control management. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything else to add? Did I hit it?
Couple of things that one of the things that I always feel is beneficial to getting these groups together is you get a little more exposure to, this is how this town does it, that's different than what we're doing, and many times it might be better.
Yep.
And one thing that I meant to mention to Clay this morning is, I believe it was Tamworth said that they have a local customer for their aluminum, that, and I think electronics, that it is a,
I sat next to that gentleman,
Yeah.
and I got all his information, and Clay has already left a
Yeah.
message for him.
Yeah.
If there's anyone who can save us $1, it's Clay, isn't
Clay will
it?
be after it for
Yep.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect example, Mr. Chairman.
So, no, it's definitely worth spending the time that it, to sit and chat and look at some of these, in some cases, opportunities for cooperative purchasing, and others just somebody else has found a way that does it that's that we haven't thought of, or that is more efficient than what we're doing currently. Back to the cell phone mapping. It is interesting that the mapping that was done with the 4 carriers, the most prominent carrier in the area is Verizon, and the maps that they publish, which are really marketing pieces, apparently vastly exaggerate the level of coverage they have in this area. We've known.
Boy, you're choosing your words so carefully.
We've known for a long time that there's lots of weak spots and holes in the cell coverage, and the instrumented work that was done driving around has certainly demonstrated that quite well.
we had the Deputy Commissioner Chris WASZCUK speak to the TAC meeting on a wide range of transportation issues, including 10-year plans, federal funding, and the challenges. This is an absolute wonderful document. If you could make a copy, and it explains so many things that you're not aware of. I mean, I didn't realize that there's a difference named legally for what is an interstate and what is a turnpike. And on one of them, you can do like they did in Hooksett, have little stores and malls and whatnot. And I think it's one of them, nope, it has to stay beautiful. You know, and whatever, but it really explains what they're trying to do. Chris wasn't there campaigning, but he was just answering all our questions. And I'd like to have you make a copy of this and make it available for the Budget Committee and the CIP to circulate. Okay? It's, you saw what it looks like.
Yep.
And it's,
Yep.
someone like yourself, you'll devour it. And I made the comment earlier about the road agent, you know, he's gone through $56,000 making our roads safe in just the last 28 days, and he has $11,022 left in his budget. So that's why I brought up that, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman. And under correspondence, you'll be talking about the L-chip grant that we went to
Right.
Friday.
Yep,
That's it.
okay. Good. All right, well, let's move on to correspondence. Don't have a lot today. We do have a recap on the L-chip
That's it.
award ceremony, including
Governor Sununu says to
Pictures.
say hi to you.
So, the Tuftonboro Conservation Commission received, how much is the grant? Just like,
100, and I forget the amount now, 184,000 or 148,000? I can get the exact
all right,
amount.
at any rate, this was in a ceremony last Friday down in Concord. And it was a grant from the L-chip funding, and will be used toward acquisition of lands into the Great Meadow
Absolutely.
complex. So I think that is
Quite a feather in our
yeah,
cap.
yeah, absolutely terrific. And this is something that Steve Wingate and the Conservation Commission have worked long and hard and continue to work on protecting the land around the core and surrounding area of the Great Meadows area. So I think that's
Great.
terrific. All right. Any other business today?
Any correspondence we need to talk to about privately concerning?
I didn't see any.
Okay.
So, all right. Any questions before we close?
I think that grant was for $139,000.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. Yep. Terrific.
There's a picture there if you want it.
Yep. All right.
Well, I need it as a JPEG.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe Steve will send
And I
it on.
think
I can send it to
that Karen can get it to you,
Good.
right?
Yeah.
Good. All right.
When's our next meeting, Mr. Chairman?
We're going to have a work session on the 28th, 8:30 in the morning. That will be to wrap up any remaining business in the year.
I look at the Christmas tree that was donated by Ball Peak Farm, the Hunter family. Thank you. And I notice that a lot of the needs have already been,
People have stepped up and,
you know, Tufton Borough is known for its Christmas efforts and its charity. Well, perfect example.
yeah, absolutely. Yep,
So you're not having any meetings until the 28th, is that correct?
that's correct.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Our next regular meeting date would actually be on the 24th, but we're not gonna meet on Christmas Eve.
Why
So,
not?
well.
We're thinking
we'll-
of you. Joe, we're thinking of you.
Yeah,
Thank you, I
that's right.
appreciate that.
How's
That's
that?
right. All right. So,
Season's greetings, Merry Christmas to our town and all our families.
I'll entertain a motion to
So,
adjourn.
Mr. Chairman.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank